Welcome to the Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers in this monthly author showcase. I'm your host, Mark Miller. Author Renee Meland is visiting with us this month at the Bremerton Kitsap Axis Television Studios. Renee met my partner in crime, Peter Stockwell, at the Kitsap Mall at the unique local bazaar when her and her husband stopped by to see Peter's table and books and talk about writing. Renee writes books she classifies as speculative fiction. Welcome to our broadcast for Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers.
Thank you
I would
for
like to
having
shake hands.
Thank you.
First of all, because we mentioned speculative fiction, and I'm trying to be a sci-fi / speculative fiction writer myself, speculative fiction is a genre most people will not know by that name. So kind of explain what you mean by speculative fiction.
Well, speculative fiction basically is any fiction that asks the what if question, and that what if can be answered by a dystopian answer or horror, or it pretty much runs the gamut. There's alternate history, going back to horror, what if vampires really did roam the earth, or things like that. It covers a lot of different things.
Have you ever heard the name Harlan Ellison?
No,
Okay.
I have not.
Because I'm old and I actually lived through this history, Harlan Ellison was one of the first science fiction writers back in the 60s who tried to start using that term because he didn't like the idea of science fiction because he liked to push the envelope and write about taboo subjects and stuff like that. So he started some books called Dangerous Visions, and if you ever get a chance to look it up. But that's the whole idea of speculative fiction. He was the one that really pushed it. And it kind of caught on for a while, and it kind of went away. But I'm glad that somebody like you actually kind of brought it back, speculative fiction.
Well, thank you.
And everything. There we go, because
I
it's
try.
something everybody keeps talking science fiction. But like I said, he, like you said, was trying to bring it all together into one big gamut. Can you kind of, since you're writing speculative fiction, what kind of influences, your thoughts in the worlds you create and things like that?
Well, for me, just the way humanity treats each other, and you see every day on the news, a perfect example of that. For my current series, the Extraction List series, I got the idea from actually about 5 seconds of a documentary that I had just happened to turn on the television. The little info thing said it was supposed to be something about world religions. And I turn it on, and there's a woman there with a little boy, no more than 5 years old. And she's teaching him to sing this song that was just, I couldn't even believe it. He was saying God hates the USA. He was saying every nasty term that you can think of. And this is just a little tiny child, and it just made you so angry. And then that thought popped in my head, some people should not be allowed to raise children. And that started me thinking. And the Extraction List series is about a futuristic America where the government regulates parenting. So I started to think, okay, what if that actually did happen? What does that mean? What's the slippery slope that can create? Who gets to decide what the criteria is, for example? And what could be the potential fallout from that actually happening?
So it's kind of like would be CPS on steroids.
Right.
And the reason you kind of jumped into that, because I was going to ask you that question because of my background in law enforcement. Quite often people who start delving into writing about extreme abusive situations might have had a little bit of, shall we say, personal experience with it. And so I was wondering how you came about that subject. And so now you've kind of told me that it basically was your imagination going.
Yeah, my childhood was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
That's one of the questions I had to ask,
Fair question. That's
I'm
okay.
one of those people that likes to delve into why people write. Have you enjoyed this whole challenge of being a writer and creator of books?
Absolutely. It's pushed me in ways that nothing else really has. And like, for example, doing this interview, I'm normally a very shy person, and
No.
I'm not, am I? Okay. But doing the stuff like this, going to conferences by myself, and and meeting new people. It's been a really cool journey. Okay.
What was your previous career? Did you have something else you did before you became a writer?
I was actually in marketing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was fun, and I used some of that to help me with my books and whatnot. So
Writing, for me anyways, was a change from my previous career in law enforcement. So how did you, I guess, what was the change you went through to become a writer from your previous careers?
well, I can't remember a time that I didn't write, but when I met my husband, or now husband, but when I started to have him around, I kind of got the confidence to go, oh, I could actually maybe do this as an actual career move. So I had my day job as a marketing person for a car dealership. So, and that actually helps me as a writer too, because that got me into social media and stuff like that, which now, of course, we all have to use for our writing.
How long did you wind up working with a car dealership, just out of curiosity?
About a decade. I was there for quite a while.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say. And so I don't see you then. You said you weren't very extrovert. I don't know how you could possibly work at a car dealership and not be a little bit extrovert. So I don't think you have any problem at all talking to people. Then we get back to the idea that all of us like to develop characters. I know how I develop my characters. How do you develop your characters in your books?
Gosh, oh, that's a tough question. They usually just kind of come to me, and I write in first person, so it's kind of just a fun way to play pretend and be somebody else for a while, and it just kind of comes out.
Would you say that I have a theory that these characters reach in from an alternate dimension and infuse these ideas in your head, and you can't shut them up?
That's very possible, actually. That would not surprise me at all.
Do you think the development, how you develop characters also helped enhance your writing?
I think so, especially writing from first person. It allows you to really immerse yourself in whatever world you've created, and you're saying I instead of she or he.
Yeah.
So
Did you try writing in third person out of curiosity?
I've written one book in third person, and I'm proud of the book, but I don't think I'd do it again. I just didn't enjoy writing it as much in third as I do in first.
I have to admit, I have an ultimate respect for people that can write in the first person, because it's like you said, you try to get more into the character to a certain extent.
Right.
And for me, it's easier to do the third person bit, doing it that way than trying to do the. So anybody that can write in first person, that takes an extra special skill.
Oh, thank you.
And everything. Who right now is publishing your books?
Limitless Publishing.
And are they local or?
You can get them on Amazon, and you can also get them at our Silverdale Barnes & Noble.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, the publisher itself is located, isn't like, I guess I'm saying, is it primarily an online publishing, or is it located in a specific state?
I think they're in Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they just sell primarily on Amazon.
Right, okay. How did you, when you first decided to go into the publishing realm, how did you wind up picking Limitless?
Well, I first, I tried self-publishing, and that was a lot of fun, and I'm a little bit obsessive, so maybe it wasn't that good for me personally to be able to pull up a sale every 10 minutes, or where you go to see if you sold any books in that particular 10-minute time period. But I don't know, I just kind of still always had in the back of my mind that I wanted a traditional publisher, so I set myself a time where it's like, okay, I'm going to give this one more shot, and I sent them my self-published book, and they accepted. So, and they were able to get you into the bookstores and everything then? I'm just in the local Barnes & Noble.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we pretty much just do online.
Online? Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been doing the online?
I started self-publishing in 2014, and they picked me up in 2015.
So from 2015, you've been working with Limitless.
Yeah.
And would you say, I take it it's been a plus then because you've stayed with them since
Oh, yeah.
the last 3 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
they've been a great asset.
Well, that's good. Apparently, at least one of your books has been optioned for a film. You want to tell us about that?
Well, the whole Extraction List series actually has
Ah.
been optioned. The first movie's in development right now, so that's really exciting.
Good.
I'm just obsessively checking my email to get updates and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully we'll see it on the big screen soon.
Looking through your books and everything, would you classify yourself as aiming a little bit more towards the young adult as opposed to just adult, I guess you'd call it? 'Cause you can't-
Yes and no, just because, at least from what I've heard in conference classes and whatnot, a lot of young adult fiction has a lot to do with being a teenager, and I don't really feel like mine is about being a teenager. It's a teenager who happened to be thrown into a precarious situation, and by the time book 3 rolls around, she's no longer a teenager, so the series spans quite a big time period also.
approximately about how long the time period?
She goes from, she's 15 in book 1. Book 2 is actually chronologically before book 1 because I had no intention of writing a series, but I couldn't let this one particular character go, so he got his own book in book 2, and she's not actually in book 2 because she's only 9 at the time that book 2 takes place. By book 3, she is 19, actually. And book 4, I think she'll probably still be 19.
Fairly young.
Yeah.
So it'll still, to a certain extent, there'll still be more of the interest by people, which they've kind of expanded this young adult thing and they keep playing with the titles. But apparently now, unless you're like 25 years old, it's not really getting more into the quote-unquote adult thing. They keep trying to morph that whole...
Like new adult or something.
There you go,
Yeah,
new adult. I was
don't
trying
know.
to think of that. I get confused.
I know, I'm with you. I'm
New
confused
adult,
too.
young adult, what the heck are we talking about, you know? But I understand you're going to be going to the Connecting Writers with Hollywood
Yes.
in Spokane, and that is what month?
That's in June.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're going to be talking to some people that do that, Connect Writers with Hollywood again,
Yeah.
and everything.
Oh, I'm really excited. It's the second year for the conference, and I wasn't able to go last year, so I'm gonna.
Well, you're gonna have to let us know how you do
Sure.
and what goes on. I want to eventually go there one of these days. I've talked to one of the individuals that's helping putting it on, and Ms. DeWitt, and she's excellent. It seems
She
like,
is.
and it has a lot to do with being able to take books and make movies out of them.
Absolutely.
Is definitely another step for a writer. If a book club or any organization wanted to get a hold of you, how could they contact you?
I have a website, reneemeland.com, and there's a contact section on there.
Okay.
Or I'm on social media too.
Yeah, that will appear above our heads.
Excellent.
on the filming. And I have to ask you one question because you're a dog lover, right?
Absolutely.
Have you killed a dog off in one of your stories?
No. Won't happen.
You know? Well, I did that once.
Oh,
I can't
no.
read that section of my book anymore. It makes me cry every time I read it. So you probably cry at Old Yeller too.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, of course. Everybody cries at Old Yeller. So if you're not going to be killing any dogs off, what's kind of your next project? Do you have any other books planned for?
Well,
Horizon?
at Connecting Writers with Hollywood, I have a book that I'm going to be pitching about reincarnation.
Oh,
So that's going to be fun.
out of not involved with this series at all.
No, this is going to be a standalone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've got to ask, how'd you come up with that idea?
Well, I've always thought it was fascinating, and again, I asked the what if question. Okay, what if reincarnation was an actual proven genetic fact? What would that do to the world? So that's what I explore in this next one.
Cool. So in a form of immortality.
Right. Right. When death is not the end.
we writers all begin with the first word and sentence we construct and continuing until we basically finish our manuscript. Do you have any other advice for any writers out there in a BCAT audience that are trying to get started or thinking about starting writing?
Don't quit. It's probably my biggest one. This business is going to give you every reason in the world to stop, but of course your work has to be good, but sometimes it's just about outlasting everybody else and just keep going at it, and and look for opportunities also. Like, you never know when you're gonna, for example, meet somebody who says, hey, want to come get interviewed on television? Sure, sounds great.
You know, Peter walks around with cards, and he also tries to hand candy out to people too and say, want to get interviewed? But,
Well, I'm glad I walked by and got that opportunity. So, yeah, biggest thing, don't give up.
Was there any time, I guess, what is one thing that really frustrated you to the point where you actually thought about stop writing? Does any one thing?
Gosh. Just it wears on you sometimes when you're querying publishers and agents and you get rejection after rejection after rejection. After a while, you get to a point sometimes where you're like, do I want to do this to myself anymore? And that answer has to be yes.
Would you say that you're going to have to, as a writer, develop your own voice and don't try to write like everybody wants you to write unless they're going to pay you money,
Very true. No, that's good advice too, because you're not going to be authentic if you're trying to imitate whatever you think everybody else is doing, and it's going to show. And you might as well just have fun and do what you want to do and create the art that you want to create, and it's going to find a home.
Did you try any like, there's a gazillion local critique groups. You can sit down and everybody reads their works and all that stuff to each other. Did you ever go that route at all?
I did one for a while, and now I have a couple just online friends that I send my stuff to, and my mom.
Yeah. So I'll have to agree. It seems like if you find one or two personal people that will give you advice as opposed to going to a group where it seems like people change their minds from week to week, it seems to work better for having a sounding board.
Yeah, at least for me it does, for sure.
Well, trying to think of anything else I need to cover. What do you see? Well, let's put it this way. We'll have a complete flight of fancy. If suddenly all of your books are made into movies, what would you do?
What would I do? Oh.
Yes.
Other than do a happy dance?
Yeah.
I think I would take my husband, my daughter, and my parents on a little vacation. A little happy weekend somewhere.
Would you do, I would say, like some writers like Stephen King do, after a while, because they're constantly making movies out of their books, I get the impression sometimes he's writing books more for movies than he is actually just writing a book. In other words, he'd always have that in the back of his mind.
Well, I think I already have that in the back of my mind, honestly. That's always been my ultimate.
Oh, okay.
I want to see my stuff as a movie. So.
Oh, okay. So then when you're writing a book then, and a lot of writers do this, you visualize in your brain as if it was a movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And do you ever sit there and try to make it more realistic, actually try to maybe act something out at home by yourself, trying to figure out, well, so-and-so's coming in from this door, they'd have to do this or something like that?
I don't, but I should. That is probably actually a really good idea that I might try, actually.
I've discovered if you're going to do action scenes, you really have to sit there, because what happens is I've discovered this, you'll be reading along in a book and suddenly you'll go, wait a minute, that doesn't fit, you can't do that, type thing. You physically can't do that, whether it be a fight or something going on, type thing. And because the guy forgets where he's at in the action. And so then, then all of a sudden somebody sends you a nastygram saying, that doesn't fit, that's stupid, you know.
Yeah. There's always that risk for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to try your idea, though. That's good.
Well, it works for me. Get action figures, little toy soldiers and stuff,
That's
if you
a
ever
good
have to
idea,
act out a
too.
whole thing, because that way you can kind of sit there and go, I mean, you could theoretically go out on the street and grab people, but that, you know, they might get
Frowned
angry.
upon,
Yeah, they get
perhaps.
frowned upon trying to tell them to, you know, could you do this, could you do that type thing. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that is something that I run into on some of my rough drafts. If I have too many people in a scene, I realize I've gone 5 pages and Joe has been just standing in
there?
the corner by himself for quite a while, and I forgot I had him in there, and I need to make him say something. But action figures would be helpful, I think.
There we go. Is there anything else you would like to add to the BCAT viewing public about your experience in writing?
And I would say if you want to write a story, go for it. I hear a lot of people when they hear I write, oh, I can't do that. Oh, I have an idea, but oh, I don't know. Give it a shot. At the very worst, you get to play pretend like you did when you were a little kid for a while, you know? Just do it. Have some fun. We all need to have more fun.
Well, thank you, Renee, for sharing all this, everything that you do in this literary world and coming out to record this show.
Thank you for having me.
We look forward to your continued contact with us. In fact, we're going to try to get you to come to our Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers meetings that we have twice monthly on
That'd be
the
great.
first and third Wednesdays at the Spiros on Kitsap Way here in Bremerton
Sure.
at 7 p.m. And we're a very informal group, but we all sit there and we do a lot of brainstorming, trying to figure out how to do things. And also, we also have a connected filmmakers group too that we meet once a month too.
That'd be great.
Since, especially if they start making a film, you know, we'll try to get you there. I would like to thank all of our viewers for tuning into Bremerton Kitsap Access Television and viewing this Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers production. I also wish to thank the BCAT staff on cameras and in the director's chair. Our broadcast is scheduled for Saturday evenings at 6 p.m. on Wave Cable Channel 3 and Comcast Channel 12. You can also view a live stream on the BCAT website at bcat.org at 6 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Keep in touch with our Facebook and author web pages to discover where you can meet local authors and artists. I hope everyone has a pleasant evening and a productive and fascinating week. Until next Saturday, I am Mark Miller with Kitsap Literary Artists and Writers in conjunction with Bremerton Kitsap Access Television. Good night. Credits.
That was fun. Thank you.
When 15-year-old Riley Crane finds out her best friend Olivia is being abused at home, she knows just who to turn to. Her mother Claire, a writer and spokesperson for President Gray's parental morality law. Under this law, task force officers extract children from their homes if their parents do not meet certain guidelines, taking them to government-run boarding schools. Once they arrive, supervisors rehabilitate them, turning them into productive members of the society. Or, at least that was how it was supposed to work. Now, after a government official threatens to make Riley the law's latest victim, she and Claire must rely on Kane Foley, a gifted killer with a tongue as sharp as the knives he carries, to get them out of America alive. But when they stumble upon a deserted boarding school, Riley sees the escaping country is only part of her problem. Together, Riley and Kane figure out that a killer can save a life, and a mother can damn a nation. Kane Foley committed his first murder before he could even drive a car. Not that he would have had anywhere to drive. When he was 15, America was one of the poorest countries in the world, and its citizens took their hatred of that fact out on each other through gangs and violence. Every night on the news, Kane watched as an angelic blonde woman who lost her own child swore she'd end it. She assaulted America's televisions with praise for the parental morality law, a set of rules that spelled out exactly what it takes to be a parent and the consequences of breaking those rules. He prayed every night that she'd come to rescue him before his father took off his belt again. Before she could save him, Kane faced a fatal choice: fight back or die on the basement floor. He chose life. As he feels himself being pushed further and further to the edge, Kane realizes that surviving his father was just the beginning. Escaping America 4 years ago should have ended Riley Crane's problems. She has a great job as head of a compound security, supportive friends, and a mother who loves her. What more could she want? But the compound is facing a looming danger, and she is in desperate need of a solution. The last person she expects to have the answer is the guy who has been missing from her life, Kane Foley. Once dedicated to smuggling people out of America, Kane has been pursuing a new challenge: to find the children he couldn't save and return them to their parents. But now Kane has a more urgent mission. He has to save the residents of the compound, including some who are very precious to him, and he's devised a risky plan to accomplish this frightening goal. He needs a partner, and that partner has to be Riley. She follows Kane to Italy, where they are reunited with her best friend, Olivia. As they search for their target, Riley ignores Kane's captivating blue eyes and dangerous charm, which have entranced her since she was 15, but neither can escape the deep attraction. With their goal almost in sight, they discover their mission has much more than they expected hanging in the balance. The question they must ask has no simple answer. They want to save the people they love, but are they willing to sell their souls to do it?